We're back, and today we're talking about how to raise prices without losing clients. All right,
Yay.
Raising prices in a price raising world
Well,
that
hold
we're
on.
in
I have
right
some
now.
interesting info that before we get into this. So I just put in ChatGPT, like what price increases has the hair industry seen since 2025? And it kind of gives you two sides. So on the consumer side, it says 2025, the hair industry has experienced a notable price increase across both salon services and hair care products, driven by a combination of economic factors, evolving consumer preferences, and global trade policies. But it says, like, for Philadelphia example, clients report that color and cut appointments have risen to between $400 and $500, excluding tips, which is up from approximately $300 to $400 a few years prior.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I feel like you see all these viral posts on like social media about like, I'm spending $500 on my hair, but also like you're not getting what you were getting like 10 years ago. You're getting like a customized dimensional color that's going to last you upwards of like 3 months.
Yeah.
So like a lot of clients need to consider this. Like we're not doing the typical services that we used to do. And if we are, we're not charging upwards of $400 or $500. Do you know what I mean?
I want to know though, why does like the hair industry get like price shamed or shamed? Like, people don't think anything of it to spend $1,200 on Botox, but yet a $300 haircut and color service that took 3 hours versus a Botox appointment that's 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I get it.
It makes
like,
no sense to me.
I understand, like, sometimes, like, I am a victim of, like, sticker shock, but also, like, I feel like when I buy, like, an expensive product and I'm able to, it lasts me for, like, 3 or 4 months, I'm like, oh, like, that was kind of worth it because, like, I got this much use out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you buy cheaper stuff, like, you have to replace it sooner. Like, and it's the same thing with, like, quality of your hair.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way the world goes. I mean, you're going to pay for the luxury that you want. Like, I mean, if you don't want to pay high prices, then go down like hair cuttery. Like, you have options. You don't have to go to luxury hair salons that are seeing these. They don't have a corporate backing behind them. They're usually mom and pop shops. And they're feeling the effects of all the price increases. So it's different. Like for hair cuttery who has like corporate backing behind them and stuff like that. We don't have that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to come. Like, I mean, yeah, we're going to increase our prices when it's necessary. Not that we love doing it, but sometimes it's inevitable. Like you can't avoid it.
And they also pay their stylists hourly, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
it's interesting to me because I find that there's like two ways there's what would I say? Like there's two different types of people in the industry, and there's ones that are super terrified. They hate raising prices. They feel super uncomfortable doing it. And then you have the other ones who are super confident. They feel that the value's there. They're happy to raise their prices. And I think navigating both is difficult. And I think that there's lots of different ways that you can go about it. But I do think that we have sort of figured out the secret sauce there.
Yeah. Well, I think mindset has a lot to do with it. Like if you genuinely feel like you're providing the value that like your pricing is worth what you're giving to your clients, you're going to be so much more confident and comfortable having these conversations. But if you don't feel like the value's there and you're just raising your prices because you feel like you have to, like you're going to struggle. Like your verbiage isn't going to align with what you're trying to tell your clients.
Yeah, you definitely need the confidence to back it up. For
100%.
But what I thought was interesting, they said some of the contributing factors to these increases are inflation, higher booth rental fees. So I guess, landlords are up in their booth rentals, or salon owners. The adoption of complex techniques, and a surge in demand for luxury services. Mm-hmm. So more people are going towards luxury service than traditional, just get in and out.
I mean, I think that makes sense. I think that also, like there's several reasons. Like, you're just simply better than you used to be. You're getting a different experience. I mean, we recently just talked to this with Luke, our podcast guy, who, we were just talking to him about raising prices in his industry and what he does. And he had mentioned that, my original pricing was back when I was building a business, and I've learned so much, I've grown so much. I now have this big clientele, and, like that matters. So I think that you have to understand that there's, there's definitely a need to raise prices. Now, when is that the right time? I think that's something that we need to dive into. And I have a few things that I want to mention. Number one, they typically say the rule of thumb is if you're booking about 3 weeks out, that's one. If you're booked out 75 to 80% of your available hours over a 4 to 6 week period, if you're struggling to fit your people in, we deal with this all the time with our educators that they literally cannot get new clients in because they're so booked and so busy. If you've upgraded your skill set or your guest experience, so you spent the last year doing thousands of dollars in education and the experience that you provide today is different than it was a year ago. That's one. Your expenses have increased, which is what you just talked about. Burnout. This is another one. Burnout. Like, this is a big one that you hit a point where you're struggling getting to work, or you're struggling with going to work and feeling passionate and feeling driven. Raise your prices, make it feel worth it. Like, it has to feel good. Like, okay, I'm going and spending 6, 8, 12 hours at the salon. I want to feel like what I'm getting paid makes sense.
Right. Especially if you have like childcare that you're paying for and it like doesn't balance. Like, you're paying more to not,
Yep. If less than 20% of your guests are new, that was the last like benchmark. So
really,
which I do think is interesting. It's a solid sign to raise your prices. So that, I feel like all of those things are things to consider, but ultimately I do think it matters how booked and busy you are.
Yeah. I want to dive into when you said if you're better than you were a year ago, because I feel like we should make that like crystal clear. Like, if you're just coming in and rolling with the punches and not doing anything to like promote yourself or educate yourself, or
you're just stagnant,
reach a target market or anything like that. Like, just because you're putting in time doesn't necessarily mean that you should just raise your prices because you have this much amount of experience.
Right.
We should talk about some of the experiences that we have in the salon.
Yeah. With what? Like, people that have raised their prices that shouldn't have?
So the one that's sticking out to me is the maternity leave one. Where somebody gets, they hit level 1, they get their level jump. Now they're at level 2, maybe they get to level 3, and then they go out on maternity and they leave. I feel like I've been in this scenario where they come back and they lost a lot of clients, and whether that's them going to someone else or, them, for whatever reason, they just don't have this full book or full business, but now they're charging a higher price.
Right.
Where that's difficult to manage. And that's where I really think that in the early years, the level jumps and the raising of prices really have to make sense. They really have to make sense. And it's almost like my experience is that the lower levels or the beginner stylists they're chomping at the bit to raise their prices. They're chomping at the bit to grow. They want to be a level 2. They want to be a level 3. They want to raise their prices. And then when you get into the high levels where it's, our educators who have been doing hair for 15, 20 years can't get people in. They're, charging a ton of money, but, their business is so insanely booked and busy. They're the ones that fight us on raising their prices, you know? And it's like just very interesting to me to understand that dynamic because it doesn't necessarily make sense. It should be opposite, really.
Going back to what I was talking about earlier, they said some of the consumer adaptations, so like somebody that's struggling with all these price increases, what they're doing to like offset it a little bit, you're seeing a lot more low maintenance styles. There's a growing trend towards hairstyles that require less frequent salon visits, such as natural shades and simpler cuts to reduce expenses, and also at-home care. Many individuals are investing in at-home care treatments and learning to perform certain services themselves to migrate salon cost.
Well, that's a great point because we did just that. Not maybe specifically that, but we offered like services that we could give to clients that would get them through until their next appointment. So like hairline highlight.
Yeah.
And the mini single process color. So like if they wanted to come in midway between their next appointment, they could, just to kind of like get them through so that they don't have to come in and pay for full service. Yep.
But I do have some really good news for anybody that's listening, that's a hairstylist, a salon owner, just getting into our industry. So the outlook on our industry, they're saying the global hair care market's projected to grow. So right now in 2025, it's at $96.7 billion, 2025. It's expected to grow to $128.7 billion by 2034. So we're not slowing down. People are always going to need their hair done. People are always going to spend money for it.
Well, that's I personally think that's social media. I think that we just have such like I text you the other day, you know, I'm like, what is that service that I see on like TikTok and Instagram, which I would never have any interest in doing this. But now I see people getting it done on social media and I'm like, I want this. And it's like some sort of laser that like smooths out, you know, any bumps or cellulite that you have.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a hair service. I was like, what was
But I
it?
mean, like what I'm saying is like social media in general, like influencers, they're getting so much done and it's all over the internet and you're seeing these services done and it makes you intrigued.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the direction you're going. I mean, I just saw that Hailey Bieber's selling her beauty brand.
I saw that to ELF. Is that what?
Yeah. Elf, is that Elf
Yeah.
Cosmetics? And it's like
Yeah.
over $1 billion deal, which I didn't even know Hailey Bieber had a beauty brand. So
Is it
I just read the other
Rhode?
day.
What is
She's
it?
like
Yeah, it's
her
Rhode.
net worth is like 25 million. This is going to send her over the
wild.
top. But so basically, it's saying that a lot of this increase. So if you're somebody who doesn't, you know, explore the natural or organic products, you might want to, because they're saying a lot of the increase over the next few years is going to be spending on personal care products and demand for natural and organic products and color lines.
Yeah, it's low tox. That's what they're calling it.
So-
Low tox.
That's
All right.
cool.
So how do we know when to raise our prices?
well, I think that if you're booked out. Oh, wait, are you talking about as a salon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, we just know at this point, like, but I do feel like, you know, our coach is involved with that conversation.
Right.
We are very aware of when our last price increase was. And it's based off of the cost of goods, inflation, you know, the market in general, what's going on. But I think that that's ultimately what we're looking at as salon owners to
The
see.
geographics is big too. You know,
Yeah.
what's around you, what's happening around you. If all the salons are increasing and you're not, like,
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of blown away when you just said Philadelphia was between $400 and $500.
yeah. It says
For
Philadelphia.
haircuts?
They said it's risen to between 400 and 500 for colors and cuts, as opposed to a few years prior between 300 and 400. So it's
Okay.
been like $100 increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
I want to
Philadelphia.
talk about the last price increase that we did was like a little bit more strategic and like focus. I shouldn't say strategic because that sounds like scummy, but like rather than raising all of our prices across the board, we chose to raise certain prices on certain surfaces because like the cost of goods for those like specific services had gone up. And you know, we don't want to like raise prices and feel like we're, you know, taking advantage of our clients. But I felt like that was something that we did that had direct relation to like what was going on with the pricing of what we were paying.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like important to mention. Like if you have to raise your prices, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to increase them across the board.
Yeah. And then like the tariffs come into play. Like I know with the hair
God, the
extensions,
tariffs.
the hair extensions were 125% tariff for hair extensions coming from China. Now they're back down to 30%, and I think a lot of the hair manufacturers are eating that cost.
Yeah.
So it's
We
not being
recently
pushed
pulled out
onto
on a
us.
deal with with a
Yeah,
hair
like-
extension company over that.
Some of these companies, it's like grimy. Like I feel like the second they heard that this was going on,
Yep.
they were like, "Oh, this is a great way for us to make
Take
an
advantage.
extra buck."
Yep, it's just
You know
like
what I
scare
mean?
tactics.
Yeah.
Which, like, to be honest, guys, like, I feel like there's probably salons and stylists that do the same thing.
What do you think?
And-
They're
Yeah.
calling clients? I mean, like, come pay for your color now for the next 2 years?
No, I don't think that, but I think
What do
that
you mean?
they hear the tariff word and that signals them to increase their prices because they think it's coming. And it's like, yo, just like chill, like pump the brakes, like see what happens
Yeah.
and then do it. You
I
know?
mean, like, it came from 125% that lasted, 3 weeks? And now it's down to 30?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and it'll probably end up being cheaper by the time it's all done than what we
Yeah.
were paying before.
I just think about all the salon owners or like independent stylists that got taken advantage of
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, that's annoying.
You know?
Something that I've seen in recent interviews that I've done is one of the biggest challenges that stylists have working for companies is that they don't have a clear path to raise their prices, right? Like you guys have seen this. We've acquired stylists because when they join our company, there's a clear career path. They know what they need to do in order to increase their prices and essentially make more money. Whereas a lot of salons don't, it's very gray. Like, you know, you just call somebody or you meet with the owner and just say, you know, I'm busy. I think I need to raise my prices, and you get to sign off or you don't. But I feel like it really matters. Like, and that's where I know that we're artists. I know we're creative, but there is an analytical piece behind it that you do need to pay attention to, because I think that is what's going to give you the confidence to know it's time to raise your prices.
And what it makes, and like, it just makes it all make sense. Like having metrics behind your price increase and knowing why. I mean, it makes total sense. It's not like you're questioning, and
that's what gives you the confidence to be able to like have those conversations. Like, I'm raising my prices and this is why. Something I want to mention though about the metrics, I feel like it's not just about the metrics either.
Agreed.
We not recently, a couple years ago, added some new stipulations that we wanted to include because we felt like there was people that were growing in our company that were hitting the metrics but weren't doing other things to help genuinely grow their business and give the best customer service. So we involved like social media, reviews, things like that. We also...
but that's all measured, and like that's all part of metrics.
It is now. You know? It is now. But I think if you're somebody who's like so focused on the metrics, like you can come off as disingenuous and like shove products down people's throats, upcharge them and not tell them, and not, you know, be transparent about your pricing. Like those are all things that are like bad business. And yes, you can still hit your numbers, but doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to keep all your clients that you have after you raise your prices.
So one of the other big things that I see, just in my experience over the years, was basically when stylists increase their prices, but don't increase their skill set.
Right.
And that's a metric. So, you know, you're really booked and busy right now. You're killing it, but yet you haven't done any outside education in 5 years. That will last you a little bit, but it's not going to last you forever. And you will hit a point where your clients are over it. You know, you're giving them the same hair that you gave them 5 years ago.
Yep.
They're not getting anything more from you at this point. There's no techniques. They haven't seen you post about an education course that you've done. There's no passion behind it. Like, you can feel it. So I would say, like, you should be really investing in yourself to make sure that you are at the top tier of your skill set, because it's only going to last so long. Like, people are eventually going to leave. I know you feel like they won't, but they will.
Well, back to what you said about the social media thing. Clients can see how stylists are doing what they're doing. And if you're not going to do it the way that they're seeing at some point, or like in some way similar, like I feel like they're going to be like, well, why am I still going to her? She's still doing it the same way she's been doing it for 10 years. You know
those clients who come in and they sit down and they're so excited and they're like, so what's new? Like, what's new in the hair world? You know, like, what are the trends? And like, there's been times where I'm like, I don't even know how to answer this. Like, I don't know, actually. Like, and I'm like, that's my sign. Like, okay, like, girl, you need to go invest in yourself, get some, like, I don't know, go to New York City, do a class, come back inspired, because I feel like they want that. Like, they look at us as we're this creative part to their life where we help them stay up to date and put them onto the new trends. Yeah. And when you're not doing that, it's, listen, like I said, you will get by for a short period of time, but it's not going to last forever.
Right.
What are some best practices with raising prices?
So we've evolved, right? Like, we've evolved in our ways of communicating, price transparency, all of that. You know, we used to do the sign at the front desk or the sign at the station. Giving letters, handing letters out. We used to do that. I think in one of the most recent episodes that we shot, we kind of had an aha moment where we were able to identify what our preferences would be in regards to somebody raising prices. And I feel like we all kind of agreed, like, an email will do, you know, like an email just giving me a heads up, like, hey, you know, as of this date, my prices are going to increase this amount. And, you know, here's why. Maybe it's a combination of things, but I think that that's probably the most appropriate way to go about it in 2025. I do think that you need to brace yourself for some personal conversations, because you're definitely going to get that. You'll have the clients that ask, you know, I got your email. Can you explain to me more about that? You know, you're going to get that. So you just need to be confident that it is the right time or the right, you know, reason to raise your prices and be able to answer to those clients.
Yeah. How do you know how much to raise your prices?
That's tricky. We can't all be Luke and double.
Start real low.
I'm just kidding.
Well, when we looked it up, and it said best practices were 10 to 15%. I don't know that we've ever gone up.
Look that up.
I feel like we're typically around like 5 to 10.
Agreed. Yeah.
Never 15.
But with that being said, we're 5 to 10 with the opportunity to increase your prices 2 times a year.
True. But when we do like a global price increase, it's
Yeah.
never 10.
No, it's not.
Yeah. We also looked up like good times to raise your prices. It said new quarters, beginning of the year, before the holidays.
And we also looked up like what's the average of percentage of people lost after you do a price increase.
Yeah.
And what I came up with was the average was about 10% of clientele following a price increase will leave you.
Which sounds about right.
But it says to mitigate, and we just kind of briefly talked about this, but to mitigate client loss during price adjustments, stylists can employ strategies such as transparent communication, what you just talked about, clearly explaining the reasons for the price increase, such as rising operational costs, enhanced service offerings. And then this one I think is huge, and you touched on it too. I think you did too, Alicia. Value enhancement, demonstrating added value through improved services, continued education, and upgraded salon experiences. And then the third one kind of caught my interest. It says loyalty incentives. So offering existing clients loyalty programs or phased pricing to ease the transition.
So I recently, it was interesting. I recently had a conversation with my chiropractor, Dr. Mark, who needs to raise his prices. But
for everybody but you.
Yeah, no, I'm down. He needs to raise his prices because he has such a loyal business at this point, and it's difficult to get in with him.
Yeah.
So he's in a position right now that he definitely needs to raise his prices. I know he's priced low for what he does. The experience that he provides is top notch. But basically, what I had talked to him about was raising his prices and increasing it. And we talked a little bit about like a strategy or how I would go about it. And then he said the Lindsay thing. I really worry about, my clients who are loyal. They're here every week, blah, blah, blah. Like he just has that emotional connection with certain people. And I had mentioned to him, I'm like, I don't know, Mark, like maybe that's a situation where you do offer them a loyalty pricing. Now, I don't know if this was the right advice, because I can't say that that's something that we would have done. But for him, I'm like, if they're coming to you every week, then maybe there is an opportunity to give them a discounted price. Now, if they're coming once a month, that changes things. But if they're coming to you every single week, then maybe there's a discount that should be offered.
Yeah. I think for service providers who, I guess the physical strain or whatever you want to call it, or the time, it takes less time if they see you more frequently, like that, there's something to be said about that. So like maybe like I know with like lashes, if you come in 2 weeks, it's a certain price, but if you go 3 weeks, like it's more money because it takes more time and they need more lashes to put on. So I think there's something to be said there. Like I don't know how well it could be tracked for like hairstylists, but
to like every industry though, like even with like cleaning services, like if you get weekly cleaning as opposed to bi-weekly, it's cheaper when it's weekly,
right?
So and maybe, same thing with like lawn service, like I know Andrew, like if you do bi-weekly, it costs more than if they were there every week maintaining your lawn.
But interesting, because I can't see in the salon industry how that would go, because a trim is a trim,
right?
It's like whether I cut your hair every 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, it's the same thing. And the same with single processes, like besides the minis that we just started doing. I do think like possibly with like full balayages or partial balayages, like
I think
things
that's
like
where it
that,
comes into play, like having to get a full highlight versus a partial in between, and then another full, like
But see, that's based off of service, not how often you come in.
Yeah,
which is
agreed.
Interesting.
So for the marks and the high level stylists who don't want to raise their prices, let's talk about burning out and like not feeling rewarded and kind of dreading coming into work because you feel like what you're putting into your work every day isn't matching what you're receiving financially. I think a lot of times people don't realize it also. Like, I don't know. I feel like when we have one-on-ones with some of the higher level stylists, like they don't talk about, like they feel like they're making enough money, but they don't want to raise their prices, but they're feeling stuck, but they're feeling burnout. So it's like definitely like a gray area, but What do you guys think?
I don't know. I think it really just comes down to like keeping yourself motivated in this game, because I think it's very easy to lose motivation, and I feel like for stylists, like it's a roller coaster. Like you're gonna have your highs and you're gonna have your lows, and you're gonna have a day where you come in and you're slammed, and then the next day you could be, getting cancellations left and right. Like I just feel like it's like kind of like a mind game. Like you kind of have to control your mind in a sense where like, okay, if I'm feeling this way, then let me take a class, like Monica said, and go to New York and get some inspiration, or, try like something different with your existing clients, trying to get new clients in to like switch it up a little bit. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I feel like it's very like a mind game too, that you have to be able to.
I think it's a balance.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to being burnout or hitting a point where you're not feeling fulfilled, and maybe it's related to money or time, I feel like those are the two things, right? Like it's either I'm burnout because I'm here too much, my days are too long, I'm seeing too many people at once. Like those are feelings that I think get thrown around. And I feel that, and I've been through that. And I think that when I see some of our stylists who have reached that level, I would highly recommend they consider shortening their days, shortening their times. And people like some of our stylists they could be in a position where they could simply increase their price and lower their time.
Right.
And they're making the same money, but working less, which is allowing them to explore their passions. Maybe it's, working out or reading or traveling or whatever's really going to fulfill you. I think you really need to be hyper aware of your own personal needs. And sometimes, there's going to be seasons of life where, you just feel like you need to work less. And in those scenarios where you're that booked and that busy, you can simply raise your prices and cut back your hours, still make the same money, and then go do you. Like that's the beauty of our industry.
Yep.
Yeah. Another beauty of our industry too is like what I was just talking about, like the highs and the lows. Like I feel like with burnout, certain times of the year matter too. Like, holiday season, like Christmas and stuff. Like it is pure torture for some of the stylists. They're working long days, long hours. They're booked back to back to back to back. But then it's like they come off the holidays, and then their January is like kind of slower, a little less steady. And then I feel like it picks up again for spring, and then it slows down in the summer. And I feel like there's just waves that, you kind of have to go with the tides.
Ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, like when that happens, I feel like sometimes it's after a price increase, and stylists like start to second guess themselves, and they're like, I just raised my prices. I just had all these. Yeah. But I think what you need to remember is like, you're always going to have people that give you pushback on pricing. Like how many, like the surveys that we put out to our clients, I mean, there's always like a sprinkle of people who are like, it's expensive to come here. You know what I mean? And I think that's okay, honestly. I think it's okay if people think you're expensive. What I don't think is okay if people think that the price doesn't match the value.
Right.
And like when that happens, then you have something else to deal with.
For sure. So one thing that I feel like a lesson that we've learned over the years is there's a specific point in our career path where stylists earn the opportunity to work with a personal apprentice. Now, here's a lesson that we've learned is that I think ideally you implement a personal not in the same setting as raising your prices. And here's why. Because to a lot of consumers, they feel like rather than looking at it like, wow, I get this extra set of hands I'm really going to be taken care of, they look at it as my stylist is now with me less. I have this other person that's a part of my experience now who I don't know, and you're increasing my prices too. So if you can separate those two, I feel like there's value there, because you can say, I reached a point in my career, I'm now being recognized as an educator, or whatever the term is that you choose to use. But, I'm really excited because now I have the opportunity to work side by side. I'm going to be teaching this person, and you don't attach the price increase to that. You wait. Wait till everybody's comfortable. Wait till everybody's acclimated with the new style of doing things. And then when you hit a point, you can, raise your prices. I feel like that is a lesson that we've learned.
Yeah.
For all of the our stylists that are listening that are pregnant and maybe going out on a maternity leave, what do you guys recommend for increasing prices before or after, or how does that work? Do you just not do anything?
This is a big one because I feel like a lot of our team, like they gun for promos before they go on maternity.
Yep.
You know, it's like a big goal of theirs to like, because they know when they come back, it's going to be a struggle.
It's like a little bit of a slump.
Yeah, I would say like if all of the reasons are there to like support why you should, then do it
Before you go out.
But know that when you come back, you might have to take some steps back. You might have to adjust your schedule. You might have to, you know, start marketing yourself more or like asking for referrals again, like going back to like the level 1 mindset of trying to build your book up again.
Yeah, which we've, you know, that's been an ongoing, I think, struggle. Although, you know, we just had Jen come back. And I think that when you have a really established business and you go out on maternity, Jen is like
the unicorn.
I mean, maybe we should get her on, honestly, because like
She'd be awesome on
the people that are, the way they're committed to her, like she came back from maternity and like, I don't think you can get in with her for like 2 months now.
That's
like
incredible.
She's
that doesn't
just
always
smoked.
happen.
Like,
People
and
are
they
excited
left.
for
They
her.
went to see someone else, and they were right back with her. Like their level of commitment to her is really impressive. Probably one of the top I've seen. So, she's somebody who she level jumped right before she went out.
Yeah.
She raised her prices. She went out, felt good, had her maternity, came back, and she just like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here like she might need a level jump again. Like, not gonna lie.
Another lesson we learned might be a more obvious one, but maybe not. I don't know. When clients aren't aware of your price increase and they go to check out and give pushback, we usually say, you know, we're so sorry we caught you off guard. We'll, you know, honor the old pricing, but for next time, this is what it's going to be. For the salon owners that like want to stick to their guns and be like, no, this is the price. I feel like that's kind of the right thing to do.
I know.
Yeah.
This is what I was thinking about earlier. How about the clients who want to bitch about your price increase every single time but refuse to leave?
Like, go. There's the door, bro. No,
Or
kidding.
go to a lower level. Like you don't have to stay where you're at.
They're
You
like,
always have options.
You're raising your
Listen.
prices again?
They just want to be heard.
I might have to
sometime.
leave at some point. And you're like, they're never leaving.
I
think
can't
they're
afford you
expecting
now,
you to
but I've
be
been
like,
coming to you for 5 years.
You know what? I really like you. I really want to have you give me a hard time every time I change anything about my business. Let me just not do the price increase for you.
It's so funny.
That is funny.
Yep. Yeah. So one thing that I will mention is making sure you communicate with your entire team about if you're in a salon setting, the entire team needs to be very aware of your raising of the prices, because that can be a major issue if a front desk associate isn't aware.
Yeah.
And they're booking services and quoting services that aren't correct. So
Yeah.
I just think proper communication when it comes to that is key.
That and the like lead time. So like not tomorrow, but like in 3 weeks, April 1st, our prices are changing to this. Like, letting the team know first, and as well as like the clients, so that like nobody's completely caught off
While
guard.
we're on that, our software offers a setting. So when you go to increase somebody's prices, it has a pop-up that says, do you want to increase for everybody currently booked? And I usually don't do that. I leave it as is. If somebody's already booked and they were quoted a specific price, that remains. But it's any new services that were booked after that point, which I think that's the right way to go.
We're dying to know some positive or negative price increase stories that you guys have. So feel free to drop them in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, like, subscribe, tell your friends. It's a great way to support us. And we'll catch you on the next one.